Special attention should be paid to the Russian-French War of 1812, which became the backbone of the Russian imperial narrative of wars and victories. In 1813, it was first called the Patriotic War. This term appears in the book by war participant Fyodor Glinka. The feats of Count Mihail Andreevich Miloradovich in the Patriotic War of 1812, almost immediately it became commonplace in official rhetoric, historiography, and culture. The war itself became shrouded in myth. Russians attribute Napoleon's goal of conquering Russia to him and call his attack treacherous. They ignore the broader context that the Napoleonic Wars began in 1803 and lasted until 1815. Thus, the War of 1812 is only an episode, not the beginning or the end. Russia also fails to mention that Napoleon sought to expand French territory and influence throughout Europe. The Russians present the sabotage work of the military and intelligence behind enemy lines as resistance by the common people, imposing a national character on the war. They loudly sing the praises of the victory at Borodino, a battle that ended more like a draw, and if you take into account the ratio of losses and the fact that the French army continued its advance, it looks more like a defeat for Russia. Once again, they mythologize the image of so-called war heroes, the more prominent ones such as Kutuzov, who was a servant of the Tsar and a father to the soldiers, and others, ordinary participants and partisan leaders such as Denis Davydiv and Vasilisa Kozhnya. Davydiv was actually a career military man who organized sabotage in the rear. He fought against the French and then wrote about his experiences in memoirs and poems. As for Vasilisa Kozhnya, she was supposedly the wife of a village elder, a simple Russian woman who defended her homeland from the French in 1812. But in reality, there is insufficient evidence that she was a real person or that she led a partisan detachment. Instead, the Russians made a film about her, named a street after her, and issued a stamp and a commemorative coin with her image. Another war that Soviet propaganda removed from the global context was the Great Patriotic War. It was isolated and separated from World War II. The War of 1812 was perceived as the apotheosis of the glory of Russian arms, and Russian propaganda already called World War I the Second Patriotic War, the Great Patriotic War, or even the Second Great Patriotic War. But the Russians were quick to label others. World War I was a disaster for the Russian Empire, which ceased to exist. This led to the start of national liberation and civil wars and the creation of new states.